Hello everyone, I am Victor, one of the creators of the VM Travelog channel, and starting with this video, we will make a small change in the way we create some of our videos, trying to focus more on the people, places, events, and memorable stories we discover in our travels. In today's video, we are going to talk about Antoni Gaudi, one of Barcelona's most famous personalities, and his impressive works.
Antoni Gaudi left his mark on Barcelona's architecture and made it a place that is easily recognizable through the Sagrada Familia Church, his unique buildings, and the places that seem to come out of a dream. Gaudi was a Catalan architect and designer, known as the greatest figure of Catalan modernism. Gaudi's works have a style of their own that is difficult to mistake with any other, and most of his projects are located in Barcelona, including his main work, the Sagrada Familia Church. Gaudi's work was influenced by his passions: architecture, nature, and religion. His work combined crafts such as ceramics, stained glass, iron forging, and carpentry, with great attention to detail. He introduced new techniques in the treatment of materials, such as trencaris, which uses waste ceramic pieces. Under the influence of Neo-Gothic art and Oriental techniques, Gaudi became part of the modernist movement, which reached its peak in the late 19th century and early 20th century. Over time, his work has gone beyond modernism, culminating in a style inspired by natural forms, preferring to develop plans for projects as three-dimensional models, working out details as they were conceived, and rarely drawing detailed plans. Gaudi's work enjoys global popularity, admiration, and continuous study, and his masterpiece, the Sagrada Familia, still incomplete, is the most visited monument in Spain, and along with 6 other works, it has been declared part of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The son of the copper worker Francesc Gaudí Serra and Antonia Cornetti Bertran, he was the youngest out of the family's 5 children. Antoni Gaudi is supposed to have been born in Reus, the capital of Baix Camp, in Camp de Tarragona, Catalonia, Spain, on June 25, 1852. And I say that it is assumed because the exact place of Gaudi's birth is unknown, as there are no documents to confirm or say otherwise, which led to a controversy over the place of birth and whether it was Reus or Riudoms, the 2 municipalities bordering the Baix Camp district. Most of Gaudi's identification documents have given Reus as his birthplace, but Gaudi stated on various occasions that he was born in Riudoms, the village of his paternal family. Gaudi's family originates from the Auvergne region of southern France, from where one of his ancestors, Joan Gaudí, a street vendor, moved to Catalonia in the 17th century. Gaudi was baptized in the church of San Pere Apostol in Reus the day after his birth as Antoni Placid Guillem Gaudí i Cornet. His first years of school were spent at the Piarist School in Reus, where he demonstrated artistic talent through drawings for a periodical called El Arlequin. During this time, he worked as an apprentice at the Vapor textile factory in Reus, and in 1868 he moved to Barcelona to attend the secondary school of the Convent del Carme. As a teenager, Gaudí became interested in utopian socialism, and together with his colleagues Eduard Toda y Güell and Josep Ribera y Sanz planned the restoration of the Poble monastery, which would have seen it transformed in a socialist utopian community. Between 1875 and 1878, Gaudí completed his compulsory military service in the infantry regiment of Barcelona as a military administrator. Most of his service was spent on sick leave, allowing him to continue his studies. His poor health prevented him from fighting in the Third Carlist War. Gaudí studied architecture at the Llotja School and the Higher School of Architecture in Barcelona, graduating in 1878. His academic performance was average, with occasional failures, as Gaudí pursued his own interests more than the official curriculum. And that is why Elias Rogent, director of the Barcelona School of Architecture, said, at the time of awarding the graduate degree, "We have given the title to a madman, or a genius, time will tell." To finance his studies, Gaudí worked as a draftsman for various architects and builders. Gaudí's first projects were the street lights he designed for Barcelona's Plaza Real, the unfinished Girossi newsstands, and the Mataronese Workers' Cooperative building. He gained wider recognition for his first major commission, Casa Vicens, and later received more significant contracts. At the 1878 World Exhibition in Paris, Gaudí designed a display case for the glove manufacturer Comillas. Its functional and aesthetic modernist design impressed the Catalan industrialist Josep Güell, who then commissioned some of Gaudí's most outstanding works: the Güell Cellars, the Güell Pavilions, Palau Güell, Park Guell, and his crypt in the Church of Colonia Güell. And during his collaboration with Count Güell, Gaudí became friends with his father-in-law, the Marquis of Comillas, for whom he designed El Capriccio in Comillas. Among Gaudí's largest and most impressive works is the Casa Batllo, built between 1904 and 1906, and commissioned by Josep Batllo y Casanovas to remodel a building previously erected in 1875 by Emili Sala Cortez. In this project, Gaudí focused on the facade, the main floor, the terrace, and the roof, and built a fifth floor for the staff serving the building. The facade is made of Montjuic sandstone cut to create deformed and undulating lines. The columns are bone-shaped, with plant decorations. Gaudí preserved the triangular shape of the balconies of the old building, with iron railing in the shape of mosques, giving the rest of the facade an ascending, undulating shape. You can also see the facade with trincaris, made of pieces of ceramic of various colors that Gaudí obtained from the waste of the Pellegrí factory. Another major project of Gaudí's, and among his most admired works, is Casa Mila, better known as La Pedra, and built between 1906 and 1910, commissioned by Pere Mila y Camps. Gaudí designed the house around two large courtyards, with a structure made out of stone, brick and cast iron pillars and iron beam frames. The building has 5 floors, plus an attic made entirely out of catenary arches, with a roof decorated with stairs ending in a cross, and chimneys covered with ceramics and shaped in a way suggestive of medieval helmets. The entire facade is made out of limestone from Vilafranca del Penedès, apart from the upper level, which is covered with slabs, which make it resemble a snowy mountain. The facade was supposed to be completed with a stone, metal and glass sculpture, which should have been 4 meters high, of Mary of the Rosary accompanied by archangels Michael and Gabriel, based on a sketch made by the sculptor Carles Mani. But due to the events of the tragic week of 1909, the sculpture was abandoned. In parallel with Casa Mila, Gaudí also worked on the development of a project that in our days would be considered a residential real estate project for wealthy families, on a large property owned by Park Guell, in the area popularly known as Montaña Pelada, meaning the empty or barren mountain. In this unbeatable location, in a great natural setting with splendid views of the sea and the Barcelona plain, about 60 triangular-shaped plots have been designed, with a complex network of pots, viaducts and staircases to facilitate movement along the entire property. The land on which the project was developed was quite difficult, and only a sixth of it could be built on. The height and location of the houses was organized in such a way so that they could not block the view of the sea or deprive the neighbors of sunlight. Guell, who initiated the project, wanted to recreate British residential parks, which is why he called it Park Guell, as in English. Gaudí respected the vegetation that was already growing on the property, such as carob and olive trees, and when new species were introduced, he opted for Mediterranean plants that didn't require a lot of water. He also designed various water collection and storage systems, based on irrigation systems that he had learned about in the rural area of his childhood. Both the vegetation and the management of water resources thus contributed to the prevention of land erosion caused by large Mediterranean rains, while helping to provide the necessary water for the inhabitants of the estate. In October 1900, the works of dividing the site into plots began, and the construction work proceeded at a good pace. On January 4th, 1903, a description published in the Yearbook of the Association of Architects mentioned that the 2 entrance pavilions were built, as well as the main staircase, the waiting shelter, and the exterior walls. The viaducts and part of the large esplanade, together with the water drainage system, were already finished. In 1907, events were already being held in the large square, and that is why we know that the hypostyle room was entirely covered, while the sandstone bench that surrounded it was completed in 1914. The first person to buy a plot of land in the park in 1902 was a friend of Guell's, the lawyer Martí Trias i Domènech, who commissioned the architect Juli Batiavel to build his villa. At the same time, the entrepreneur Josep Pardos y Casanovas built a house for presentation, designed by Gaudí's assistant, Francesc Berenguer, to encourage sales. Gaudí himself moved to Park Guell in 1906 to live with his father and granddaughter. And shortly thereafter, in 1907, Eusebi Güell converted the estate's old mansion, Casa Lalard, into a permanent residence. In the same year, a large number of civic events were held in the large square, with the consent of the owner. However, due to the complex conditions of the sale of the plots, based on the old emphysema lease contracts, the lack of adequate transportation systems, and the extremely exclusive character of the residential project made it unfeasible. Due to the lack of buyers, the project was abandoned in 1914, with only 2 out of the 60 planned houses being built. The park thus became a large private garden, which Güell allowed to be used for public events, while it began to appear in Barcelona's tourist guides as one of the city's attractions. Eusebi Güell died at his house in the park in 1918, and his heirs offered the park to the city council, which agreed to buy it in the municipal plenary meeting of May 26, 1922, which led to its opening as a municipal park in 1926. And the Güell family house was transformed by the municipality into a school, which was named after the Catalan pedagogue Baldiri Reixac, while the area to the left of the entrance was transformed into a nursery of ornamental flowers for the city council. Thanks to the efforts of Gaudí's friends, Gaudí's house in Park Guell was opened to the public as the Gaudí House Museum in 1963. Park Guell was recognized as an artistic monument in 1969 and declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1984. The buildings flanking the entrance, although very original and remarkable, with fantastical shaped roofs with unusual peaks, fit well with the use of the park as a public garden, and seem relatively discreet in the landscape, when considering the extravagance of other buildings designed by Gaudí. These 2 buildings make up the Porter's Lodge Pavilion. One of these buildings contains a small room with a telephone booth. The other, although once the doorsman's house, is now a permanent exhibition of the Barcelona History Museum, MUHBA. After entering the park, you're greeted by the double staircase in the shape of a dragon, made up of a large number of mosaics. It is probably the most photographed part of Park Guell. Further on, in the middle of the staircase, we find the emblem of Catalonia, and underneath it is a tripod made up of 3 snakes. The large entrance eventually opens to the hypostyle hall, or the Hall of 100 Columns, which was completed in 1907 and is inspired by the Greek city of Delphi. In fact, it has only 86 columns and was originally designed as a covered square, giving the entrance to the park a formal appearance. The ceiling of the park is made up of small domes, decorated with mosaics. These elegant curves were made by the artist Josep Maria Jujol from pieces of tile in the Trencati style. As you climb the steps of Park Guell, you reach above the hypostyle room the Greek theatre, also called Plaça de la Natur, or the Natural Theatre, which was once intended for the staging of plays, which could be watched from the undulating mosaic bench that forms a railing around it, from where you can also enjoy a magnificent view of the city of Barcelona. On the east side of the Greek theatre is the Baldiri Reixac School, which was once the mansion Casa Lalard, where Eusebi Güell, the one who envisaged the creation of the park, lived with his family until his death. now, we'll take some time to talk about the Sagrada Familia, the crowning jewel of Gaudi's career, and the construction of which began in 1882 and has not been completed even today. The expiatory temple of the Sagrada Familia is today one of the main attractions of Barcelona, recognized throughout the world and visited by millions of people. The part built by Gaudí has been declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO since 2005. And the Building Council hopes to complete the works in 2026, when the centenary of Gaudí's death will be commemorated. In 1881, with the help of donations, the Spiritual Association of the Devotees of San Jose acquired a plot of land measuring 12,800 square meters for the construction of the temple, the first stone of which was laid on March 19, 1882, on the feast of Saint Joseph. All of the Sagrada Familia sources of funding to date come only from donations and personal contributions. The initial project was started by another architect, Francesc de Paula Villar, from whom Gaudí inherited it at the end of 1883. Gaudí later changed the project into a new one, a much more ambitious one, proposing the construction of a basilica with 5 naves, a transept, an apse, an exterior ambulatory, 3 facades, and 18 towers, making it the most complex and unique project of all that Gaudí created through his professional career, and to which he dedicated 43 years of his life. Did you know that Gaudí originally built the entire Nativity facade with its 4 towers just because he was aware that he would not see it finished? Antoni Gaudi wanted to create the perfect basilica, which would present the life of Jesus and the history of faith. The 18 towers are dedicated to important figures in the Bible, and this is reflected in their dimensions. 12 of them represent the apostles, 4 the evangelists, 1 the Virgin Mary, and the tallest of all is dedicated to Jesus Christ, which will have a cross at the top that will reach 172 meters in height. When completed, the Sagrada Familia will be the tallest building in Barcelona and the tallest church in the world. From 1914 onwards, Antoni Gaudi stopped taking on civil work projects and focused exclusively on the construction of the temple. On November 30th, 1925, the construction of the first bell tower on the Nativity facade was completed. This is the only one that Gaudí saw completed, since on June 10, 1926, he died following a tragic accident that occurred 3 days before, when he was hit by a tram, and due to his unkempt appearance, he was mistaken for a homeless man, which led to delays in providing much-needed medical care, hastening the end of such a remarkable life for the history of art. Finally, the Nativity facade was completed in 1930 and best describes Gaudí's vision and can be considered the greatest out of all 3 facades, as it depicts the birth and early days of Jesus' life. Antoni Gaudi, a deeply religious man, infused this facade with the essence of life and nature through symbols such as the Tree of Life, a powerful cypress, crowning the central portal and symbolizing eternal life and Christ's connection with nature. The 3 porticos, each one representing a theological virtue: faith dedicated to Mary, hope dedicated to Joseph, and charity dedicated to Jesus. The animals and plants which represent time through the tortoise, industriousness through the bees, Nature's creatures mingle with religious figures, blurring the lines between the earthly and the divine. The entrance to the interior of the church on this first facade is made through the Nativity door, which welcomes with an exquisite ornamentation that tells the story of the birth of Jesus. Every carved figure, every intricate detail encapsulates the story of Christmas and the divine incarnation. This door evokes a sense of wonder and celebration, transporting the visitor to a moment of hope and divinity. Did you know that in the Sagrada Familia there were schools for the children of the laborers who worked there? After Gaudí's death, his disciple, Domènec Sugranas, took over the construction until 1938. During the Spanish Civil War, a fire broke out in the crypt that affected the studio where all of the plans and models that Antoni Gaudi had left for others to complete his work were located. These plans could not be fully recovered, so we will never fully see what the architect envisioned. Did you know that the second facade, the one called La Pasión, took 22 years to build? The construction of the second facade, the Passion facade, began in 1954, trying to get as close as possible to Gaudí's style. The second facade was finished in 1976. The second facade focuses on the crucifixion and the Passion of Christ, describing the essence of Jesus' life. The facade has a harsher appearance compared to the grandeur of the Nativity facade, which explains people's preference for the latter. But the complexity of the details carved into the stone and the emotional representation of the scenes evoke a deep reflection on the religious narrative. The door of the Passion is a living testimony of Christ's crucifixion and suffering. The meticulously carved statues represent the culminating moments of this narrative, invoking reflection on sacrifice and redemption. Crossing this threshold immerses visitors in the intensity of Christ's Passion and invites them to meditate on its spiritual significance. Several architects have received Gaudí's legacy. In addition to Domènec Sugranes, there were also Isidre Puig Boada, Luis Bonetti Garí, Francesc de Paula Cardonet Blanc, Jordi Bonet Armengol, and Jordi Fauli Olier. The current architect, who has held this position since 2012. In the year 2000, the church was structurally completed and the vaults were closed, and in 2002, the foundation of the Glory facade was laid. The Passion facade was completed with the help of Josep Maria Subirachs and the Japanese sculptor Etsuro Soto in 2018. And on November 7, 2010, Pope Benedict XVI visited the Basilica and officiated a solemn Mass himself. The Facade of Glory, the newest facade, is still unfinished, but after its completion it will provide access to the central nave of the Basilica. The Glory facade represents the eternal glory of Christ and depicts the scenes of Christ's ascension to heaven and eternal happiness. The construction of the facade began in 2002 and is still far from being completed. Although unfinished, it is already the tallest of all of the facades of the Sagrada Familia. Gaudí knew full well that the construction of the Glory facade would not be completed during his lifetime, and therefore he only drew a few sketches with a general idea of his vision and plan. and this included depictions of death, the Last Judgment, hell and glory. The door of future glory, currently under construction, promises to be the highlight of the Sagrada Familia. As it develops, this door will embody the divine glory and the culmination of humanity's story. This will be a portal that will lead hearts to a spiritual triumph and the fulfillment of human purpose. As you pass through the majestic doors of the Sagrada Familia, you cross a threshold that transcends time and space. These doors, more than mere entrances, are portals to a world with deep and symbolic meaning. Every detail carved in wood or stone has a story to tell, a lesson to pass on, and paves the way to a delightful interior, offering a rich tapestry of artistic and spiritual significance. Gaudi's ingenious design combines Gothic and modern elements, resulting in an organic and unique structure. Stepping into the main nave of the Sagrada Familia, which rises to astonishing heights, is like stepping into a forest of columns, resembling tree trunks, branching out into intricate vaults forming a canopy-like structure, creating a majestic and spiritual ambiance. This structural glow not only captivates the eye, but also symbolizes Gaudi's respect for nature. The colorful stained glass windows that adorn the Sagrada Familia are truly breathtaking. The sunlight flowing through these windows creates a spectacle of color and reflections inside, generating a unique and magical atmosphere. The apse, located at the end of the main nave, is adorned with a collection of sculptures and reliefs. These artistic representations tell the story of biblical passages and parts of the life of Jesus Christ, conveying spiritual and evocative messages. And under the main altar and the Tower of Mary, in the foundation of the lower section of the church, is the oldest part of the basilica, the crypt, which was completed in 1889. This has been an active place of worship for over a century and is home to the resting place of Antoni Gaudi. The plan of the crypt is stunning, embodying deep symbolism and religious significance. This site also has a museum and offers an architectural experience like no other, making it an essential visit for anyone exploring the Sagrada Familia. The semicircular area of 30 by 40 meters is rich in symbolism, contains 5 chapels, with the central one having the main altar and representations of the Holy Family. And when you stand directly under the central vault, looking up you can see the keystone with the relief of the Annunciation, where the Archangel announces the birth of Christ to the Virgin Mary. And with this last look at Antoni Gaudi's creation, today's story ends. If you liked today's video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel by clicking that subscribe button, so you can find out when the next video comes out. Hit the like button and share this video with others so they can find out interesting things about the next place you're thinking of visiting. See you soon!